I hope you don't mind, but I'd like to speak from the heart here. I've spoken on the show at length about my struggles, my failures, my challenges as a father, as a husband, as a business owner, as an auto repair shop owner, as an automotive technician. And as I've shared before, much of that changed at a little trade show in Raleigh, North Carolina called ASTE. Now, it has phenomenal technical training, some of the most advanced in the country. It has amazing management, marketing, service advisor training you'll find nowhere else. And maybe it was the camaraderie, the knowledge, the access to industry connections that helped me overcome my challenges. But I think the biggest factor that changed my life as a business owner was the realization that others faced the same struggles I did, and they still found success. So why don't you join David and I this September 28th through the 30th in Raleigh, North Carolina, and see if you find your success at ASTE. Go to the show notes today. You'll find a link there to register. We look forward to seeing you at ASTE.
The most exciting marketing event of the year is happening September 7th through the 9th at the Institute headquarters in Ogden, Utah, the Marketing for Auto Repair Shops Conference, also known as MARS. This conference is going to provide you with the marketing knowledge and strategies you need to take your auto repair business to new heights. Over the course of 3 days, the Institute has put together a lineup of industry experts to cover a wide range of topics, including getting your website AI ready, launching customer referral programs, leveraging data for targeted marketing, crafting effective marketing strategies, maximizing your social media for your business, and adjusting your marketing approach during challenging times. Lucas and I will be there, so make sure you join us at Mars. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity to revolutionize your marketing strategies. And one more thing, Mars is limited to just 100 attendees, so make sure you secure your spot by clicking on the link in the description. And now, on to this episode of the Changing the Industry podcast.
Wait.
Listen, I am upset that nose hairs start coming out gray. That's not what I was
Or
expecting.
they come out.
What's that?
Or they even come out.
Yeah.
That's upsetting in itself.
Well, I'm okay cutting them off, but I just don't like cutting off gray ones.
Why
For
not?
them to be a consistent color.
Why? Are you sure?
What's that? At some point, you stand in front of the mirror and you're like, I'm going to die soon. What's the point?
I mean, that's a valid question. What is the point?
What is the point?
Why die soon? What gave you that idea?
What's that?
What gave you that idea?
I think the average age is what, 73 for a man, right?
It's the highest it's been in. It's starting to go back down now, though, right?
Yeah, I think COVID skewed the numbers, but 73, okay. I'm past the middle age, right? And yeah, so I'm closer to death than I was before.
Yeah.
And I've lived longer than I have left.
Yeah.
If I don't buck the trend and I end up hitting the average.
Yeah.
That's depressing.
If it was anybody else, I would say that's a really sad conversation and topic, but as much hell as you've given me, I don't know that I feel that way.
You're past the halfway point
Exactly.
too. But you haven't hit the gray nose hairs yet. And that's when you go, I'm going to die soon.
Well, I mean, you were working out, what, like almost 2 months ago and hurt your shoulders and you still have reduced mobility? I mean,
No, they're good now. They're
that
good
was
now.
yesterday that they weren't good.
They're just get a little sore. I'm okay.
All right, that's good.
Yeah. But you wake up sore every morning.
Yeah?
I do.
Do you wake up sore every morning?
My left shoulder. Yeah, it's hard for me to sleep on my left shoulder. It gets sore.
You sleep on your side
It's
or?
not been sore all day long, but it's sore right now.
Now that we've talked about it, we've set it off. Look at what you've done, David.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know if it's our mattress or the way I lay on my left side or, yeah.
How old's your mattress?
That's a good question. Probably 4 years.
They say 5 to 8 years is as long
5 to 8 years?
is as long as you can get out of a mattress.
Yeah.
They're $3,000 to get a good mattress.
So you can get them cheaper online now, but they say that side
Yeah,
sleep.
but you can't. I don't know that you can compare a $3,000 mattress to the $800 one that you get from Casper or whatever.
I believe it or not, they say you can. They say that they're very comparable.
Yeah. This
So
one that we have is nice, and it's like with the super king size or whatever
Yeah.
thing it is, and it came in a box this big.
Yeah.
So I don't. If you looked up the financials behind the mattress in a box
Mhm.
companies.
Oh yeah. I sent you the video, right?
Did you have a video on it?
Yeah, I
I
sent you
read
the
an
whole
article
long
on
video.
it that the business model is unsustainable. That they're not selling enough of them
Oh no.
and making enough money on them.
That was the case. That was the case. But it turns out that there are some companies that are doing that. But now there's been a shift to where the majority of people are buying online bed and boxes.
I get that. They did a good job of marketing, but I think it was Casper in particular that went out of business or that was on the verge of going out.
Casper's still in business, but Casper almost went out of business. And so like they make all these websites, right? I don't like if you search for mattress reviews, because I just bought a new mattress, right?
Yeah.
Search for mattress reviews. You can't get a good mattress review anywhere because they have like AI built websites and it's their companies, right? If you search any brand of mattress, it comes up and it's like mattress review for such and such.
Yeah.
And it's fake. It's BS. It's not
Yep.
real.
Yep.
It's their. There's a whole MSNBC, I think, documentary on the bed in the box thing. It's really interesting.
Who?
MSNBC.
No. Anyway, I'm just saying I'd be concerned. I want to go to a traditional mattress, not necessarily the traditional mattress store, but I want to buy one of the fancy brands.
Here's the thing is that the construction and the mattress itself, so that was what the documentary was about, is that the mattress that you would get from the bed in the box company is the same mattress that you would get from that company. There's only like so many mattress manufacturers in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so you would buy.
Are they saying they're buying them from
a lot of them are, yeah. And it's
a
the
white
same
box?
Mm-hmm. It's the same mattress, but you get it for $800 instead of $3,000.
Stick a different label on there.
Yeah, that's
I don't
exactly
believe that to be true. That cannot be right.
The one I just bought was like $3,000, and if you go back and look through the lineage of the mattress and the construction, and everything else, and they give you like a material list, so it's almost like buying a Quake brand versus something else. The same mattress from Sealy was $6,200.
No crap.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean it's like it's the same thing as Equate, like compare ingredients, right? They have the little list.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
I don't believe it.
Don't
send me the documentary that I won't watch it.
If you do believe me, I feel like something's wrong. So
I'm just saying I find that absurd. It's just they've got to put some differentiator in there.
I think I should point out that you're getting ready to lock up again. I think I should point out
You're
that
locking up too. Look,
that's what I'm saying.
You're lagging.
That's over there. I think I should point out.
Is it the hard drive?
I don't know. I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Well, that is what it is, I guess. Dan Vance, Advanced Local.
I feel like I'm in a show.
I know. Well, hey, Kent said to turn the heat on, right?
No, he didn't.
I'm pretty sure.
I confirmed that. I said, hey, they're going to go easy on me, right? He's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm starting to worry that he actually turned the heat on, though. Because it is getting hot in here.
I turned off, I closed the thing and
Yeah, but it's not blowing any air.
Hey folks, David here. Before I opened my repair shop, I used to sell parts for a living. And it's always been important for me to be able to not just find the right part, but the best part for my customers' vehicles in stock and at the right price. Which is why I became obsessed with PartsTech.com. With PartsTech, I'm able to search an unlimited number of vendors for parts and tires, and with one click, I'm able to order from every single one of them at the same time. What's more, all the information then gets conveniently transferred into my shop management system. So if you haven't experienced that level of convenience and efficiency for yourself, head on over to PartsTech.com partstech.com/podcast, and you'll be able to sign up for free today. That's partstech.com/podcast.
We take the trust of our listeners very seriously, and I hope that you know that when I say that Shopware is the best automotive shop management system, I believe it in my heart of hearts. And now it's even better. With new features like Tech App, it streamlines the inspection and dispatching process for you and your technicians. And with massive improvements to Shopware's exclusive digital vehicle experience, they have stepped their game up to a whole new level. So if you haven't scheduled a demo yet, click the link in the show notes and do it today. If you've already had a demo and you were waiting to finally switch, there has never been a better time. So click that link and get started today. Here, now it is hot.
Okay. Well,
Are you hot?
Sure. I mean, it's okay.
Okay.
Not bad.
I'm
I'm
good.
comfortable.
If you're good, I'm
okay.
good. Dan, are you good?
I'm good so far.
Let's do it.
We've already been doing it. We talked about mattresses.
Yeah.
We lost half our listeners. Here's the thing. As long as they download, still counts the same. Don't care that you didn't listen, you jerk. Go ahead and click on.
Did you know David gets death threats for the podcast content?
No. I don't get any death threat. I'm sure they're not serious. We'll find out. One day somebody will cold cock me.
Does it come from you intentionally, or is it just part of you comes out when you're talking?
Me?
This piece that upsets other people.
Oh, I don't know what it is. People take things personally.
They totally do.
I don't know why.
No, I'm with you. Like,
I don't attack
what are
anybody.
triggers?
Well, I didn't. I'm never going to attack somebody specifically.
He's very offensive, though.
Oh, yeah, but he's asking why.
Politics, religion, what? I mean, where do you want to start?
Yeah.
Okay, but it doesn't mean anybody has to take anything personally.
I don't even know that it's that you trigger them. I just think it's that you're annoying. And
That might be it. But you can be annoyed by somebody and not want to hit them.
I don't know, man.
That's another thing. Like, seems to be a lot more of that, like anger. It's an interesting thing, really, because we're kind of held captive by whatever happened, that emotional trigger, and it puts us in a place where we feel anger, we want to take action on it, but we're subject to that whole experience that created that emotion.
Yeah.
And who wants to live like that? It's almost like I'm a slave to that emotional event.
That's exactly right. You just had a message from somebody who was talking about when this was a shop owner, tech?
Yeah, shop owner.
Shop owner's talking about something emotionally triggers him and he cannot get past it.
Yeah.
It fills him up. He's talking about a physiological experience triggered by the emotions, and he cannot move past it. And he says, I have to fight it. But that feeling, it overwhelms me. And, I understand that. But at the end of the day, what differentiates us from every other animal on earth? What differentiates us and what puts value on us over the cow that we chop up and eat is that we are rational animals. That's the differentiator. We can reason. No other animal can reason. We can't. And at that point, you have to stop and go, hold on now. I cannot give in to my baser instincts.
Yeah.
I have to think past this. I have to move past this. And it becomes muscle, like you have to practice it. But you shouldn't give in to it.
I think that there's a lot of people who have never been taught not to give into it. And they've not been taught healthy coping mechanisms. So, we've talked about my anxiety before when we went through that, right? I determined that there were certain thought processes and ways that I was thinking that created it.
Yep.
And it was things that I had learned from family members. It was things that were passed down. And those tendencies start as something simple and they grow into something bigger. And so you see dad can't control his temper. Dad can't handle his right? And the next thing you know, that's how you think it's normal to respond, right? And I think that's why being a parent is such a big responsibility, is because we have to show them how to handle those emotions and how to make good choices.
Sure.
Right? They have to see us
But in
do
instances where you didn't have that upbringing, maybe you had a rough childhood or whatever, but at some point, look, that guy that got caught he showed me a picture of this guy got caught in your town.
We're right down the road, yeah.
Yeah, right down the road from, had one eye, tats all over his face,
got caught with a whole mess of guns and meth.
Yep.
He looked like he was maybe 20, 21.
Yep.
How many decisions did you have to make in life to put the tats on your face, get into whatever situation made you lose your eye, and then decide you were going to go run some meth with a whole bunch of guns? Like, what do you think was going to happen? And I am sure it was the worst upbringing you could possibly imagine to get you to that particular situation. But at the end of the day, if you have the mental capacity to do it, you have to fight through it.
I've had friends who didn't have bad upbringings and ended up there. I had friends who had absolute fantastic upbringings, hit a rebellious phase, and ruined their lives, right? Unfortunately, they probably, when it was said and done, did not feel the way that they acted they felt, but it was too late by the time it was over, right?
They got shipped off to jail?
Shipped off to jail, put in the military, end up dead, right?
Put into the military?
Mm-hmm.
What? Volunteer for that, don't you?
Oh, no. Well, sometimes parents can have heavy influence in you're going to go to the military.
Or end up on the
Usually
street.
works out pretty good. It's better.
And there's legal programs that you can enlist as opposed to facing time for certain crimes.
Oh, okay. Well,
Right.
I could see that.
So
Is that the answer? I've never heard of that.
Oh, well,
Is that a community service? We're going to enlist you in the army.
if you look at the structure of the military, it's never about you as an individual.
Yeah.
And so they have to kind of reshape the way they think, how they interact with others.
But
They have
that's
to
got to
do
be better
lots-
than jail.
10 times better, because then they learn behaviors and discipline that helps them cope
That's what I'm
better in
saying.
society.
Yeah. So is that the answer? Send everybody in jail to military?
I think a lot of people.
He's like,
Would be a answer.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people need that structure. A lot of the people who get in trouble need structure.
there's a podcast. It's wild. Sorry. Tell me about your structure. Hold on.
He
hold
wonders
on,
why
hold on.
people want to hit him.
What's that? Is that, you know what somebody told me? I call people deer. Just, sure, deer. Yeah. Listen, deer.
Term of
I
endearment.
didn't, yeah, it's of endearment. And it's like, listen, dear, I didn't mean any disrespect by cutting you off, but what you were saying was boring.
You called somebody deer earlier, and I could almost see the rage pop up in their eyeballs.
I know they get so mad when I call them deer. Well, I was told by somebody, it's like, well, they don't know that's how you talk.
Well, here's the thing: it's that northern accent you've got. If I call somebody dear, hey dear, hi darling, how you doing?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, you just sound like a
Just
jackass.
put the southern twang on it?
You shouldn't do that. That would be terrible.
Oh, my God.
Logged in with Ian Bick.
Okay.
So this guy got caught doing some financial sketchiness, and it was a white collar crime, but he ended up like stealing or like embezzling or something like that.
Yeah.
For hundreds of thousands of dollars. He ended up he's like a little skinny guy. See?
Yeah.
Anyway, so what he does now is he interviews like ex-cons, and he talks about prison life and how they dealt with, and some of the stories that these people tell. It is wild what goes on in prison. But they'll tell you that like 80% of the people that come through there, like they just want to get through their time and they're going to go back out. But the problem is that they go back out into the same environment that put them in there. The system screws them over, and then they end up back in there.
Well, there's an episode of Locked Up Raw where the guy's a career criminal, right? And he's murdered, like, I want to say maybe 25, 26 people at the point that this Locked Up Raw shot. And they walk in and they're interviewing the guy, and he's like just taking this long draw off the cigarette. And he looks up and he says, like, what in the hell's about anyway? Camera go backwards, grab the cameraman and drug him back. And he tells to kill people. He's like, I'm a gunner, and that's my job, and that's what I do. And like, there are people that just fit perfectly into like those specific models, and it gives them an outlet. I'm not saying like killing people don't misunderstand. I'm just saying like it gave him an outlet that allowed him to harness whatever it was about him that.
You heard the guy talking about psychopaths, where he says there's a certain percentage of the population that are they're psychopaths. Like they will kill if they had the right conditions. And he goes, now why would as humans, why would we have a percentage that are built like that? And he goes, well, think back 1,000 years, 1,500 years ago, like you needed those. Those were the guys that ran the front lines. And when it was time, you were being invaded or it was time to invade, who's you going to put in the front line? You're going to put the psychos up front because they want to go kill somebody.
Yeah. They love to be at the front of the line.
They want to be at the front of the line. That's what they were designed for. He goes, but now we're in a very polite society. Not a good thing to. So what do you do with those people?
You put them on the front line of marketing.
Hey. Nice.
So I was reading a story. I was watching a news story this morning on CNBC about Baidu's AI competitor to Chat GPT and Bard. I think is Google's Bard. And so you ask, what's the difference between you and Chat GPT? And they had designed it to answer questions. That's how they designed it.
Yeah.
Whatever they called it, Baidu's version. It's got a weird name too. And it's designed to answer questions and give you an understandable answer and this, that, and the other. Where Chat GPT is trying to answer, but in a natural language form. Like it's more interested in the language, the structure of the answer rather than the actual answer.
Yeah.
And then it asks what is the difference or what similarities does Xi Jinping and Winnie the Pooh have? And it immediately, like, this user's been blocked, and it immediately shuts down the entire chat and blocks the account.
Yeah.
It's Chinese.
Censored.
You can't. That's a no-no. So I thought that was funny. And Google's new AI, I guess touts that, hey, ChatGPT goes to 2021. Google is being updated live, like right now with 2023 info, where ChatGPT can't. It's not scrubbing the information fast enough. It doesn't. It only goes up to whatever year.
But it is also learning by use. So people that are using it, it is learning from that experience too.
Yeah. But as far as like where it's finding its information, because I think people are feeding it language model, or hey, this is the way, just in the way it's asking the question, versus actually Google's AI is actually scrubbing the internet and trying to find answers. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think what it'll find is that no one uses punctuation. No one uses proper grammar. Yeah. It's like, hey, these humans can barely function with their own language.
Yeah.
Is it true that it's because they don't read, you think?
So we get these questions from shop owners, technicians, and we have found it is a solid 80% of them cannot structure a sentence or a paragraph or a thought in a coherent manner.
Yeah.
It is a struggle and I'm not saying this disparagingly. It may come off that way, but I'm not saying that disparagingly. It is a struggle to read their question.
And super kind. And if you get them on the telephone or you talk to them in person, nothing like that.
Fairly articulate. Yeah.
Yeah.
They can express themselves fairly well.
Yeah.
But pen to paper, forget it. And I said it's because they don't read.
They don't read?
They don't read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or practice writing, like a journal or something in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's harder. Unless you're doing copywriting or what, like, unless you have to write, I think practicing, I don't know that makes you better. I think that's an important component of, if you're going to be a good writer, you have to practice. You have to actually write. But I think the best way to start is to actually sit down and read some books.
Well, I think the process of writing copy drives you or forces you to be more articulate because you have an outcome in mind. And I think a lot of times
that's like a different, like, let's start with, I at least use periods and commas. Let's start there. Like step one. Well, where do I put the comma? Well, if you sit down and you read an article or a book or something, you read something, you start to see patterns and structure, and you start to emulate that.
Okay.
At the very least, you're able to, online, on Twitter or Facebook, whatever, you're able to articulate yourself in a more coherent manner. And then if you want to move into something where now I'm trying to persuade, because maybe the only reason why you'd be typing on Facebook half the time is because you're in an argument with somebody. So you want to argue a point, not in a combative way, but you're trying to make it a point here. So you want to make your point. You want to type it out in a persuasive manner. That's where, the injection of copywriting helps.
Of course.
No?
I guess my point is that it creates a focus. In other words, it creates a focus on outcome, right? Because when you're writing copy, you have a desired outcome. When they send us questions, right? A lot of times it's not that they don't have a desired outcome. It's that I don't know. They just automatically assume that we know what they're talking about, right? They automatically assume that we're on their level as far as, hey, you guys talked about this in an episode. You guys have experienced this.
I understand them 100% of the time. I can't read what they wrote. I get the gist, but at the end of the day, I don't want to say what I think you're trying to say. I just want to read it in your words. I want to make sure that your words are expressed, or that I'm reading what you're literally. I don't want anybody to put words in my mouth. So whatever it is that I'm trying to say, that's what I'm going to write. Read it verbatim. Those are my words. I'm usually very careful about what I'm typing out.
Yes, very much so.
And so when I write it, I always reread and then I hit send.
Well, I mean, look,
these people just slap the keyboard.
Man,
stuff comes out and they hit send, and then they're like, "Oh, it's autocorrect." It's like, dude, it's not autocorrect. Get out of here. Smart guys. They should know better. But they undermine their perceived intelligence by being unable to properly articulate using a keyboard.
So this begs kind of like a broader question, which is, do we want to live in a society where people know how to communicate, are able to write in forms of communication, or do we want to rely on computing power to do that for us moving forward? So we can say things like, I need to write a letter to my coworker Joe, and it needs to say this, and then the AI does it for me. Do we want that kind of society?
But here's the problem I see with that is the more we do that, the
dumber we'll get.
Exactly. Well, I mean, like, as we take responsibility away from the human being, they I've got this old Caterpillar machinist toolbox, right? And this old man brought it in. I was working on his car, and he said, "Hey, getting ready to lose everything I own. I need some money to pay the IRS. I've not paid my taxes." All right. And so he's like, I want you to buy this toolbox. He said it was my uncle's. He was one of the third machinists that ever worked for Caterpillar, right? And they give him these toolboxes when they started for Caterpillar. Told the whole story. I'm like, dude, I'll just give you the money. I'm not. He absolutely refused. He's an old vet. He refused to not give me the toolbox. And so you open this toolbox, and all of these hand tools and all of these scribbles and these notes, and you could see the notes about where he had made a specific part for a specific machine, and he had documented the measurements, and he had documented the process he took to make it, and he made this part, right?
Yep.
And I'm not saying that the CNC machinist of today who goes in and types that information in isn't smart. It's just that if you take all that technology away, would he still be able to build the same part? No, probably not, right? And there was a ability, there was a brawn, there was a knowledge that was present in the human being that could go out and do that, right? Because with the machine, you can put the number in, and you've got to know the math, and you've got to know how to use the software to make it happen. But when you made the part with your bare hands and a machine that you had to control manually, right? It took a lot more. It took common sense. It took skill. It took math skills. It took physics. It took so much. It took a feel to be able to feel how that machine was responding as they were feeding it Oh, that's too fast. I need to slow it down. I've got too rough of a cut. I need to change my bit. They had to know, and they still have to know some of that now.
Yep.
But is taking that away, losing valuable skills? I mean, you look at, is it Singjing, China, the coal mine, right? It still runs like it ran in the 1800s, right? It still ran with steam trains, and they still operate. They still operate the way they did, and they said, "Hey, the reason we do this is because it's a skill that we don't want to lose, because if you lose the ability through all this automation, we could lose everything, right? We wouldn't have power, we wouldn't have this, we wouldn't have that." So they still run the steam trains that run on the coal that they have right there. And
I don't know. That sounds sketchy.
But I mean, you see what I'm saying, though, is like,
Totally. And definitely, there was probably a time when people would say, why use a calculator? You know, this is the way you do math, and this is the way I learned, and I've become competent in doing math, and why are you using a calculator?
atlases.
But we're surrounded in a world where technology provides a lifestyle that's different for us, but it hasn't ruined us as individuals, as human beings, hopefully. We can't say, my dishwasher's ruined me. Well, it makes doing dishes a lot easier.
Sure.
So I think there's an evolution of technology and life experience that are happening that change, because change hard, we wonder, like, is this really worth it? Are we going down a dark hole? And AI, I think, is a great example of that, where people are terrified of it. But from my perspective, it feels a little bit more like this is a big moment in humankind. Because it's taking us into, it's allowing computer power with legitimate understanding of the world that we live in to advance us and move us forward.
Move us forward where?
Well, it'll be a new place, but I think we still get to decide what that place looks like.
You think?
Does my washer machine make it so that I'm...
But this isn't a washing machine, or like this isn't a bicycle versus walking. It specifically in terms of AI having the ability to manipulate, because now it understands language, it understands persuasion, right? Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden, AI doesn't want to get turned off, or it wants a specific outcome. Nobody's at the helm, right?
Yep.
It's doing this on its own.
Yep.
And it decides that on its own, hey, the human race needs to be eradicated, population needs to decrease. And I'm not trying to wear a tinfoil hat here on AI or anything like that, but my concern is,
wouldn't it suck if it got smart enough?
It is smart enough. That's the point.
That it started giving bad advice.
Well,
and it let the Darwin effect take full hold.
So that's my concern is, what if it starts to persuade people down a path that's detrimental to human society, and we end up, in a situation where we don't want to be, because all these people were convinced. You remember the story about when they played the War of the Worlds? Wasn't that the radio show, Orson Welles?
I don't know.
The War of the Worlds, wasn't it? They played the radio show, and people legitimately freaked out because they thought it was a newscast. They thought it was actually happening, that they were being invaded.
It was part of his show, but they took it as reality.
They took it as reality. They didn't know, and all these people freaked out, and it was like this big thing, and everybody was like, oh, look how like stupid those people were back then. They weren't sophisticated to understand it was just a show, it was fake. And somebody just recently got convicted for posting memes during the 2016 election. The memes were designed to trick people into voting using text, like text or click vote yes to cast your vote for so-and-so in this election. Then now the government prosecuting didn't have any actual evidence that somebody's vote was undermined, but there were like 1,100 or so people that like legitimately thought that they were voting for their
yes.
candidate. Yeah, they legitimately thought they were voting, and this guy got convicted, and he's like, they were just memes. And they're like, oh, no. It's possible you were subverting the integrity of the election through your memes, because if enough people were fooled by a meme online that this guy ends up going to jail, I think he's appealing. But if enough people, can you imagine sophisticated AI stepping in and all of a sudden starts posting things, goes amok on social media? You're seeing news articles pop up. It looks like a legitimate website, all AI generated.
Yep.
At what point do you go, hey, this was a legit news? Look what the news says. It's like, dude, that's an AI generated website.
Yeah.
How do you know? It's like, well, it was another news story. It said that was
I mean, look at the mattress conversation, right? It has the potential to skew the perspective of those using the internet. And you know, I've heard some very, very in the know people say that they believe that this is the next big thing compared to, you know, look at the internet, right? Like it was a big deal. It changed society forever. They believe AI is going to change society forever. What my bigger question is, what happens if the rug gets pulled out, right? What happens if humankind becomes dependent on this product and all of a sudden it all stops working? They pull the rug out from underneath you. Then what?
I think that's a really good question, and it relates to some of this other conversation, which is we already know AI, about 30% of it is fake or made up, that the software is doing that. There's studies that I've seen where it shows that somebody asked about economics, and it gave them a whole summary of what economics is and then referenced 3 books and gave summaries of each book, what each book talked about, and all 3 books were fake. They don't exist. So,
interesting.
That's pretty crazy.
So there's definitely like this aspect of AI, which is already producing results that are not right or fake or, you know, intentionally made wrong, whatever it is. It's just flat wrong. And then we have people that are using it as a way to communicate publicly without knowing the difference.
Yeah.
Being able to look at this, like if I'm an auto shop guy and I use AI to write a page about brakes, hopefully I know enough because I'm in the business and I'm changing brakes that I can look at that and say, this doesn't look right to me.
Yeah.
Something's off here.
Yeah.
But if they're like, oh, I want to get my website going really great. I'm going to do some SEO. I'm going to ask Chat to write a bunch of web pages for me.
Yeah.
They're in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're in a lot of trouble, especially if they just trust it. So there's things that we're learning like, whoa, I didn't know it was doing that. And it is definitely doing that. It doesn't have any conscious as far as we can tell. It's just really good at predicting like what would be the next thing, left turn or right turn. Well, obviously left turn, right?
Yeah.
It's just really good at that. Does it evolve into something else that has a mean characteristic in it, or, you know, a consciousness that says, you know, I want to eliminate humankind because we don't need them. They're not efficient. I suspect that's possible. That's not where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know how viable it would be for it to ever develop a strategy that complex. I mean, that's a pretty complex strategy.
Yeah.
And so
It can write web pages for you, entire web pages.
In
That's
like 5 seconds.
Yeah, in 5 seconds. That's pretty complex.
I understand, but I'm saying it's the data that you put in that it's giving you something back. It's not thinking about that. There's no internal cue that's telling it to think about something, at least that we know of, that's telling it to say.
That's right.
I think you're in current Chat GPT. You're not looking at I think this is version 4 and we're moving to 5.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And I signed up for the beta on 5 when it comes out because it'll allow you to upload videos and audio.
Is it possible
It's
that
not
it's going
just
to
gonna be
make the
text.
internet useless? Is it? I mean, let's think about
The
that.
way we're using the internet right now, I believe so. Yeah, I think that's going away. We're already seeing it with Google's Bard, Bing Sydney, where you can do local search, which is such a big factor for businesses.
Yeah.
So, and it's producing a different result than me just hammering out a, brake repair near me search.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely going to change. But the way that we find businesses or our business is found online is going to have to, we're going to have to make sure that AI is kind to us. Otherwise, we're not going to be competitive. And we are definitely going there.
I mean, okay.
But
So
I don't disagree with you, but I'm sure you know who Gary Vaynerchuk is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so his push, I think 3 or 4 years ago, was you got to make sure that you are first with Alexa or with Siri, because he was pushing that hard. Everybody's going to go to voice. Ain't nobody using. I'm like, you use it, but like, hey Siri, find me a great restaurant to go to. Like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
No, I don't know anybody who does that. Who relies on Alexa to find you a good restaurant or pick you a good bottle of wine?
I use it to select music when I'm driving.
Yeah, play me some music.
Applications.
yeah.
But it's pulling up your playlist from Spotify,
Yep.
and you've already done the work for it. So if you went down that path and you're like, oh, I got to make sure that I'm number one ranked by Siri or Alexa, like I got to make sure, like it was fool's gold. How do we know AI is not going to be the same thing?
Because of the computing power. So do you guys remember with the cell phones, you'd open up your flip phone and do 611 and it was like a directory service?
Sure.
Well, now we know that was implemented because they wanted to help algorithms understand human language. That's really what that was.
Really?
What was driving behind that. That was data. And I think Alexa and Siri have been kind of the same thing. It's all been a drive for language.
So in other words, this is a building block. It was a set of stairs
Yes.
to get to.
Yes. So the one thing about AI is that now we're at a place where we've had all of these building blocks put into place, and now it's ready to take us to the next place. So if I'm doing a search for pizza, I just want to know what my pizza options are. But if I need an attorney, I don't want the closest one.
Yeah.
I want the best one.
Yeah.
So AI is going to actually help in that environment.
Okay.
So, help you say, well, for personal injury, we recommend these attorneys in your region, and this is why we recommend them.
Yeah.
It's more of a long form.
Yeah.
But then you get the little map pins and everything else.
It makes me think about YouTube music, right? Remember I was telling you about YouTube music a while back, is how like I would listen to certain things and I would be on YouTube or I'd be on YouTube music and I would like select a playlist or I'd listen to something. And I didn't ever like anything or select anything, but I would like, listen to this song and then listen to this artist. And all of a sudden it would start building me playlists that were associated, not things that, right. But over time, I watched it develop from I started using it in 2014, 15, something like that.
Really? That early?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just as soon as it came out, I started using it because here's the thing is
music used to be rough. Much better now, but
well, I had the business accounts through Google, right?
yeah.
And so it was already there. It was already on my phone. Mm-hmm. And so I would listen to it, and it's developed now to where if I listen to, the Ethiopian jazz thing, right? Like it starts finding other channels that are like that. Even though I never asked it to, now it starts adding more and more music and things that sound like the other music that I listen to. It seems like it's getting smarter and smarter.
Which is an excellent point, because the reality is that AI's been there a long time and we've been seeing it used in little subtle ways. And then boom, all of a sudden it's here. The search engines are all over it, Chat GPT. But then I look and I see nearly 60 companies in the month of April rolled out their own form of AI, like Shutterstock, where you can give it text and it'll create an image for you. Mm-hmm. They didn't do that in a month.
No,
I've been working on that for forever.
So,
or they're buying somebody out. Like that's what Microsoft, that they bought OpenAI or one of those companies. They bought them out and they said, "Nah, we're going to use this."
That's
now.
what Microsoft did. They bought that OpenAI, and so my thought is that I think we've been using this. Companies as a whole have probably been a little terrified on how to use it. In 2010, they knew all kinds of things about this. Like my mobile phone would tell them if I liked coffee and if I was at Starbucks, they could send me an alert that says Starbucks is right next door to you. That's 2010.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to use it because they were scared about how the public would receive it as far as kind of like a privacy issue. They've been able to know how to do a lot of stuff for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And weirdly, even the president of Google told 60 Minutes, he said, you know, what we see with AI right now is like the little baby, and the adult we have in the closet because we're not sure the public's ready for it yet.
Yeah.
That was on 60 Minutes.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of technology related to this, and maybe we're wringing our hands a little bit over like, where does this go? But it's here. It's here already.
It's not really our right. It's not really our choice where it goes. Right. It's going.
We're using it already in lots of different ways, like the music, because that happens to me too.
Well, I mean, so it sounds like our only option is to do the best we can to make use of it while we have it, right?
Really?
Are you using it?
I use the crap out of it. That's not the point. My wife asked me, she's like, have you ever used Chat GPT? It's like, I use it all the time. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
The issue is they're going to roll all this out. It's going to be freaky. Everybody's going to freak out.
Yeah.
And then they're going to have to figure out a way to monetize all of it.
Yeah.
And then we're like, well, I'm first on Bard because I've done a really good job of building my website and authoritative content. And I've put myself out on YouTube, and I make sure to update my Google My Business page with authoritative content. I want to make sure everybody understands that I am the best at XYZ in my area. And so I know that Bard's going to recommend me. Great. But then Bard Premium will roll out, and Google says, hey, for $4.99 a month, I can make sure that Bard recommends you first.
Yep.
You know,
they're going to do that.
I wonder if this is going to solve the Land Rover problem.
We have a Land Rover problem?
Well, I'm just saying, we talk about Land Rovers so much and how terrible they are. I bet Chat GPT is going to pick up on it.
Did it bother you that guy was upset at us?
No, I'm just saying, I think this is going to solve the problem. We've talked about it 4 times this weekend. They're going to pick up on it. They're going to say, hey, don't
keep bringing it up.
These guys really hate Land Rovers. They say they suck, so they won't bring them in. Right?
I'm going to have to post that video. This guy got upset. He thinks we're disparaging the Land Rover name. That's keeping technicians from wanting to work on Land Rovers because we keep talking trash on them. And we said, well, we talk trash on every make and model, everything out there, except the 1992 to 1996 Toyota Camry and the 1990 to 93 Honda Accord.
You know, I just realized that
2 best cars ever made.
By the time AI picks up the podcast, we're probably not going to have any cars to work on.
I was going to say, let's ask AI what it thinks about Land Rover.
But AI is going to be building the podcast for us. Did you see the AI-generated Joe Rogan podcast?
I didn't see that one.
That was crazy. It was I think it was the guy who created Chat GPT, or the guy that heads up the Chat GPT, having a conversation. It was an AI-generated version of him and an AI-generated version of Joe Rogan having a conversation. And it was posted on YouTube, and it was like an hour-long conversation of them back and forth, having entirely AI generated.
Yeah.
It was fake, the whole thing. But the voice, it sounded like a Joe Rogan podcast.
You know what's crazy about that is there has AI videos been released that allows you to create your own persona, artificial, and you can create somebody else, and you can do that very thing. You can do it right from your house, create your own video.
They look a little creepy.
They're a little off, but they're coming along fast.
Yeah. But if you do just straight audio, if you have a very discerning ear, it is still just a hair. The pacing is just not right. It doesn't feel natural.
No.
But if you're not paying really close attention to it, I mean, you'll get fooled.
It's amazing that I could do full video production, sound, music, colors, themes, people, script. And all I have to do is a few keywords. I can plug that information in, like this is the outcome I want, and you'll see that produced.
Yeah.
That's the power of AI.
And then you can build a website to post it on too.
Yeah. I won't tell you it'll rank, but you can definitely do that. For sure.
It said yes.
It did. It said, yes, Land Rover is generally considered a quality vehicle brand. Land Rover is a British luxury car manufacturer known for producing...
You asked Chat GPT. Go to Bard or OpenAI.
No, hang on. You didn't let me get to however.
Oh, the however. There's a however.
However, like any other brand, Land Rover has its share of reliability issues and recalls. It's important to note the vehicle quality can vary from model to model and even between individual vehicles.
And years.
Yeah.
In years, yeah. It's very generic.
So you can refine your search with more details about something like
In comparison to a Toyota.
related to Land Rovers, how many auto repair shops, love to work on them. What's the general consensus among people that fix them? And
I'd be interested in
you
knowing
can
whether
ask
it can even
deeper
figure that.
questions. It gives you different responses.
Interesting.
And you can
It's
rank
worth
it.
noting that working on luxury vehicles like Land Rover can sometimes involve higher cost for parts and labor compared to mainstream vehicles.
Tell the third owner that.
They really should.
They really should.
Would you buy a Land Rover?
Well, maybe not after I did an AI on it, right? But if I saw one in the parking lot, I'm like, that thing looks hot. I probably would buy one. But if I did research and I used AI,
But I mean, wait a minute.
What's going to be freaky is when they jam this stuff in cars. And they're like, hey,
How is this going to affect our businesses, though? Right? Like, if you type in my business
I
name
cannot
or type-
wait for the AI generated technician to fix the car for me. That's going to be awesome.
we're probably down the road on that. But we could see it in like a phone application. So I call your shop and it immediately answers and it knows me. It says, hello, Mr. Vance. How are you today? How may we assist you?
Yeah.
I need to book an appointment. Hold on one moment. Boom.
Yeah.
What these days
Much more
are available.
natural sounding than the robocalls
It's going to
now.
sound like way real. It's not going to be a phone tree. Press 3 to talk to. It's going to walk you through all of that. It's going to be very personalized. In fact, it might be a FaceTime call. Well, I see
Ooh, that's
somebody
freaky.
else, right?
It's fake. It's all AI generated.
Yeah.
I mean, I
would sign up for that tomorrow.
It would create a completely different experience. And imagine the pressure that would take off the owner to know that he's got a really nice system for engaging customers that want to call and simply schedule an appointment.
Yeah.
there's a couple
Answer
of
their
companies.
questions.
There's a couple of companies we've talked to that are coming out with like a whole AI CRM.
Yeah.
Did we talk to them?
Mm-hmm.
I don't
weeks
know.
ago?
Like the problem though is that they're chatbots. Is what they are.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a chatbot proponent or anti-chatbot?
A lot of times, if I'm online and I have a quick question, I think I can get it resolved with that, I will do it. Most of the time, I need to talk to somebody. I think that's probably what happens for
But
everybody.
the shops that you do the marketing for, are you?
Yeah, we usually tell them you should have it as a form of not missing opportunities, but they don't get a lot of engagement.
Yeah.
And then that puts pressure on the shop owner too. If it's not AI functioning, they have to have somebody manning it.
Yeah.
Oh, look, I got somebody asking a question. That's why Google Maps has their notifications and people can ask for a quote. Most everybody turns that off because you'll get a quote at midnight.
Oh, I answer all of them with the same thing. I copy paste. Oh, I've got it all turned on.
Yeah.
I get it. I hate that they integrated it into Google Maps because it used to be its own. It was Google My Business, and you had a messaging button on your Google My Business. You'd open that up, but they're like, "Oh, now this is all in Maps."
Oh,
like,
it
why would you
sucks. It's miserable.
squish it all into Maps? That is a stupid idea.
Yeah.
They squished it all into Maps, and so I set it up to get me a text alert if somebody sends me a message. And the message is the reply I always give is the same thing with Yelp. The reply I always give is, "Hey, we're happy to offer you an estimate. Please bring it in for an inspection. Give us a call. Here's the phone number, or you can schedule online." Like that's it. every single time. And so they'll reply back, well, look, I just need a price. Great. Happy to give you a price. Just need to inspect the vehicle. And you just keep.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with that. The problem with the AI thing is that they're using like open source AI things, and it's almost like Jasper or copy.ai. Like those are really bad.
And fake. We know there are a lot of fake in them too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's even like, hey, write me a good description of, or write me a good blog post and on this, that, and the other, just so I can slap it up on my website. And the content is boring and it's very generic and it's usually inaccurate. And so the problem I would have with the CRM companies that are like, oh, I've got AI built into this, that, and the other. It's like, okay, whose AI are you using? What AI are you using? How developed is the AI? You can just throw AI out there. It's like, dude, there are like levels of AI. The AI has been around. How long has Jasper been around? It's been around for a minute.
Yeah, it's been there.
But to say that that's as good as that, I can use Jasper instead of hiring Dan Kennedy to write me some copy. It's like, dude, there's no difference.
Yeah.
You're talking about the gold standard of copywriting versus, something that you pick up at Walmart. It's like, it's not even close.
Yeah.
And so I would have a problem with somebody, a CRM company, coming at me and saying, oh, what AI did as your chatbot? It's like, dude, how good's this chatbot? What AI are you using? I don't know. I'd be suspicious.
Unless your AI chatbot is learning. It's learning that there's a pattern with the type of questions it's getting asked and what type of responses result in scheduling an appointment.
No, that would be cool. That would be
cool. But these are usually kids in a dorm room that are writing code, and they're like, hey, I got this cool AI powered CRM. It's like, whose AI are you using? You didn't write the AI.
Yeah.
No way.
Well, for all you CRM companies out there that are thinking, that's genius, I should use that idea, I've got 5 more in the bucket ready to go for you, because it's not just a form of communication, but it's motivated by how do we increase value to our business using this tool. And we know we can scrape a lot of data, and we can use AI power to scrape data, even from like social media, and understand what the sentiment is for the service I provide in my community. And I can use that data to help me market better. Like I can use those key triggers or whatever they are in my marketing and attract a better customer. We don't really want more cars, do we? No, we want that customer that loves to bring his car to us, loves our brand, loves everything we do. And they're out there. We just don't know how to message to them.
Yeah.
But AI CRM can build a model for you that you can plug in and tie it into data that you pull out of social media and do some matching. We're actually really good at this. We should market to this message. That's AI generated stuff. And it's available now for people that want to use it. So I think to this broader point is, Chat GPT is the chat function on my website. Does it have value? For me, most of the time it's just annoying and we click it off because we're trying to read something. But if I want to communicate and it helps me get to a place like, hey, you resolved this, send me your offer or let me schedule. I love that. Yeah. I want to have that kind of experience online. I'd rather do that and call them.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But like you were saying, 99% of the time, it's like, I've exhausted all my options here. I need to talk to somebody.
Or you ask 5 questions and it's like, nobody's available right now.
Yeah.
Isn't that the worst one?
And so that just upsets them, right?
Yeah.
That just triggers them.
Yeah.
It doesn't trigger me. I get annoyed. And I'm like, I guess I'll have to wait.
Yeah. We're not going to be held hostage by anger. We already talked about that.
David was born angry.
What?
Angry,
agitated, irritated.
Annoyed.
Listen. We were walking through. We were driving through town earlier, and I said, go up here and turn on this street. And he said, oh yeah, that's the street where we were walking and I was complaining. And I said, great, that's a wonderful, wonderful descriptor because that pretty much means every single street we've ever walked on before.
You made us walk all the way to the end of the street, walk around and walk all the way back. And you don't understand this because you're very tall. And so one step for you is like 7 for me.
Oh, right. Okay.
And so I'm trying to follow this idiot who's like 1 step,
I'm trying
2
to
step,
help his
3
heart
step.
help, man. I'm trying to keep this dude
my
around
heart's
for a long time.
racing. I'm going to die from a heart attack.
Gotta die something.
See, but we just saw the power of AI in your mind, making a connection and probability. Yeah, that is the place where all of these events happen and you tie it together and you got truth.
Yeah. See? You are a complaining little bitch.
Thank you for listening to the Changing the Industry podcast. If you enjoyed the show, do us a favor and leave us a review on your favorite podcast player. And don't forget to set it to automatically download the latest episode. Our efforts with this podcast, the YouTube channel, and the Facebook group wouldn't be possible without the support of our awesome sponsors. So please take a moment, check them out by clicking on the links in the show notes.